welfare of the 95-year-old and his 64-year-old wife. At around 1:45 p.m., deputies found the couple dead, along with a dog. The cause of the couple's death has not been disclosed.
Hackman announced his retirement from acting in 2009. In an interview, he described his reputation for being difficult to work with.
So I suppose some of that I give off a kind of an aura of being...
And say good morning to those of you on the video live stream. I'm Ken Lundberg, and if you can see me right now, I am switching the little switch here so I can get more microphones activated. It is Thursday, which means we have our Robotics Roundup, and today we're talking with Protronics. Protronics, did I get that right? Pantronics, darn it. Because I think you're pros, that's why. Here, hang on 1 second here. Let me do this. Pantronics, guest 1, guest 2, guest 3. There it is. Sorry, the button's a little bit sticky here. So we're going to do that. We're going to do that. Okay, very good. We're in good shape now. Thank you for joining us on the video live stream. It's the WSJM Morning Show. I'm Ken Lundberg. We have 1 million people in the studio right now, and I'm very happy to have Pantronics. I got it right. The heads are nodding. Pantronics is here. They're the first robotics team from Waterville High School. And I'll go through the names once, but then I'll ask you each to introduce yourselves. We have Isaiah Wendt, who's the team captain and part of the build team as well, right? Liz Torres, build team. Sam Milham, right? Milham, excuse me, coding. Dave Kint, the coach.
Correct.
Okay. And then also Brian Sheridan, who is the sponsor representative from M&M Industrial Services. And Brian already told me he wants to dominate the conversation today and do most of the talking. No. We appreciate your sponsorship of the team here. And also in the studio, who's hanging in the wings here, is Tiffany Wendt, who is a Young Fives teacher, but also with Waterville Public Schools. Thank you for setting this up and making this happen today. Appreciate it very much. They're all from Waterville Public Schools, and we'll be talking with them this morning a little bit about their robotics team. So who's the veteran on the team? Talking to the team members themselves. Who's been here the longest?
Me and Isaiah have been here the longest.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to bring that microphone up, make good friends with it. Otherwise, my engineer starts yelling at me. So I'm sorry, you said?
Me and Isaiah are the veterans on the team. We've been here the longest.
How long is that?
2 years. We started last year.
How did you get into robotics?
So we saw a sign up it was announced on the announcements, and they told us that they started a team, and it was the first year on the team, and we decided that we would like to help get it going, and we did get to go on a pretty big adventure last year.
Really? I can't wait to hear that story. Adventure. Put a pin in that one. We'll hold that one for just a moment. And then also, Liz is here. When did you join the team?
I joined the team this year.
Okay.
So this is my first year on the team.
All right. Get ready, because I'm going to ask you all how you, and Dave, the coach of the team, I should ask, how long have you been part of this? And feel free to pull that microphone back and forth. Go ahead.
So I was part of it since the inception, which was last year, about early January.
Okay.
When our school was approached by First Robotics and asked if we were interested in creating a team. And I batted the idea around. It was during the fall. And I batted the idea around, and my son was involved with his high school team for over 7 years, and he had since graduated. So I had a little bit of an idea of what that looks like. And I thought I wanted to be able to create that same situation here at Waterville so that these students can get an idea what that's like. It's a tremendous program. It's a wonderful organization, and it's really good for students to be exposed to this type of an atmosphere.
Let's talk more about that in just a moment. I've got to get to some news, but we'll come right back to that. I love the way that you set that up, especially because of the way that the kids get exposed to not only the science, the technology, engineering, and mathematics, but the leadership skills, the soft skills.
Correct.
So we'll talk about those things and more in just a moment right here on the WSJM Morning Show.
Sports 94.9 WSJM.
Thank you so much for joining us on the WSJM Morning Show. I'm Ken Lundberg, and we're continuing on the program. We're talking with Pantronics. They're the first robotics team from Waterville High School, and we will have that conversation. We already started it on the video live stream, so you can check it out on Facebook or on YouTube and see what is happening. It's they're already talking a little bit about how they got involved in robotics, some of the things that they're learning about it, and we've already got a story. An adventure story from last year, what they were doing. So we'll have that in just a few minutes right here on WSJM. We've got to get to some local news. Again, the forecast, just briefly looking at today and tonight, mostly cloudy skies and cooler conditions today. 30% chance of scattered rain or even some snow showers here and there. High today around 40, west winds 10 to 20 miles per hour. Tonight's forecast mostly cloudy, a low around 27, and north winds 10 to 20 miles per hour. Taking a look at some of the news that we have from the WSJM newsroom today. As reported earlier this week, the local Salvation Army office is saying goodbye to housing the Benton Harbor Soup Kitchen on their property due to structural problems with the building. We're now told that the rest of the building is intact and other services will continue from that location. Salvation Army Lieutenant Mario Bledsoe is one of the Benton Harbor Corps officers and says it was heartbreaking to have to ask the soup kitchen to leave, but they had to because parts of the former YMCA building at 233 Michigan Street are in rough shape, too rough to occupy.
It's crumbling before our eyes, but that's more so on the soup kitchen side. Now the shelter is in really good shape, but it's just some of the places in the building isn't working as they used to when we moved into this building over 30 years ago.
Bledsoe says despite the soup kitchen setback, the Salvation Army will continue offering services from that location, at least for now.
The men's shelter will still be here. All the social services, youth programs, Christmas assistance will still run out of this building. And because it's a 100-year-old building, we may eventually have to move from this location. We're not sure when.
The Benton Harbor Soup Kitchen organization has until April 30th to find a new place to operate. Earlier this week, board president Casey Gast said he was working on a couple of leads for relocation, but nothing had yet moved forward. The Soup Kitchen says that they serve more than 40,000 meals a year to those in need. Recall petition language against Benton Harbor Mayor Marcus Muhammad and City Commissioner Satana Warren has been rejected by the Berrien County Elections Commission. The Berrien County Clerk's Office tells us the commission held a hearing on Wednesday and determined the petition language was unclear. The reason? The misspelling of names throughout the documents. The petitions were filed on February 10th and stated Muhammad and Warren should be recalled for voting to appoint Alex Little as city manager. In the petitions, both Muhammad's and Little's names were spelled incorrectly. Warren's title was also misidentified. The petitioners, Tommy Earl Jackson and Gershon Clay, can try again. Meanwhile, the clerk's office tells us a clarity hearing on the petition language that was filed against City Commissioners Sharon Henderson and Edward Isom is set for March 7th. Members of the Twin Cities Area Transportation Authority have been told a crash involving a dial-a-ride bus last Thursday was not the driver of the bus's fault. However, the crash is still impacting the financial bottom line of the service. Takata Deputy Director Teresa Gershak tells us the board met on Tuesday and was shown video of the crash. She says the dashcam video shows the bus had a green light as it approached the intersection of M139 and Pipestone Avenue, and it appears that a pickup truck ran a red light and drove right into the path of the bus.
There's no indication that our driver was at fault. They had the green light. There was no substance abuse. In fact, reviewing the footage, we're very proud of her response in calling the appropriate people and continually checking in on the passengers as best she could, given where she was in the incident as well.
Greshak says the driver was injured but will recover. One of the 6 passengers had a relatively serious injury. Of the passengers, 4 were adults, 2 were small children. The children were not hurt. The February 20th crash came just months after a crisis at Dial-A-Ride when it was dropped by its insurance carrier due to a high number of claims. The Twin Cities Area Transportation Authority Board in November approved a new policy for the bus service, but it came at about 3 times the price, and the deductible went up significantly. Greshak tells us given the high deductible, it's likely Takata will have to absorb the cost of the bus repair. When asked if it can afford that, she said, "We're working on it." She added the total cost of the crash for Dial-A-Ride is still not known. We have video from that crash posted at our website, WSJM.com. One more story. The search for a new police chief has resumed in the city of South Haven. On Tuesday this week, the city announced the new chief, Kevin Swope, is stepping down from his position to tend to family matters. City manager Kate Hosier tells us the city will go forward in finding a new chief.
We're reevaluating the candidates from our previous search.
During the search, Sergeant Pat Carlotto will be the interim chief. Carlotto previously served in this role in September. Hosier says the city will move as fast as it can to hire a new chief of police, and they hope to find the best candidate that will be appealing to the community. That's a look at some of the news that we're covering in the WSJM newsroom. I'm Ken Lundberg. We have guests in studio. We will. Why don't we start our conversation with them right now, as a matter of fact. And one of the things that I wanted to ask you to do is just let's briefly go around the room. And whoever wants to start, you just grab that microphone and go. But give us your name and tell us a little bit about yourself and your role on the first robotics team, Pantronics, first robotics team at Waterville Elite High School. And welcome to the studios.
Thank you. So my name is Liz Torres, and I'm a part of the build team on the robotics team. I originally started as marketing, but then realized I wanted to go into build and start building stuff for the actual robot. So I then moved into CAD design. So we have 2 pieces on our robot that are built, like I designed them on CAD.
No kidding.
So that was pretty cool to figure out. I had learned it in like a week just to try to figure out to help out the team. So I did those, and I communicated with Edgewater, who helped us build them. I sent over my CAD files, and they built our thing out of Lexan. So that's
out of what?
Lexan. It's like a plastic kind of material.
I think I was going to say, is that the stuff that makes Superman weak? No, I'm kidding. Edgewater Automation help you. So you designed it on a using computer assisted design.
Yep.
And just took the measurements and figured out what you needed and designed it.
Yeah. So our whole team had met together, and we decided what we wanted to do and what we wanted it to look like and how we wanted it to function. And then I took all of those into consideration, and I measured it and see what dimensions they wanted it, and then I built it on the CAD design.
That is so cool. Thank you for that explanation, Liz. We'll hear more from you. Next down the line, please.
I'm Coach Dave Kent, and I've been at Waterville Elite for 27 years, and just so proud of this team, the tremendous commitment and dedication they show each and every day. It's a joy to work with these students, and I appreciate all the help that we get from our mentors and our lead coaches. They just do a great job to support this team. It wouldn't be what it is today without our support from our sponsors, the commitment from the team, and our parents and lead mentors.
How hands-on are you with the team? How much coaching do you have to give them?
I don't know. I think it varies by day. It just depends. We try to make a punch list. Not every practice, but all right, these are our critical priorities for this week or this day.
Yeah.
And these guys get right to it. Their enthusiasm and energy is great because it's contagious. And I sometimes get in there, but most of the time try to do a lot of finger pointing and because it's about the students building.
Yeah. What would you say is, I'm not one for favorites, but what's your favorite thing about this program for the students?
Yeah, that's a good question because there's so many moving parts to it. I think just seeing a group of kids come together trying to reach a common goal, right? And how they just work through adversity, how they work together, and share ideas, listen to one another. I think watching that happen, that dynamic, that chemistry, is really exciting to see.
Yeah,
because I know that those are the skills they're going to need to use as they advance through their lives.
Yeah.
So
very well said. Thank you for doing this. We appreciate it. Next, please.
My name is Sam Millum, and I am the lead coder at the Pantronics team, and my job is
lead coder. I was going to ask. Go ahead. Sorry.
My job is to program the robot, and what that entails is making so all the components actually can run, and that all the buttons do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And also a major part of what I do here on the team is making autonomous. And for those who don't know what autonomous is basically when the robot moves with no human interaction. So I have to program or make instructions for the robot to run. So say, hey, I want the robot to move like 10 feet, and then I have to program it to run 10 feet.
Yeah. That's cool. How long did it take you to learn to program autonomous commands in there?
Last year it took a little bit because last year we had like measure how the robot works is that you need to tell the wheels how much rotations to do. So we had to do a lot of math, and that took a while to do.
Yeah. You ever heard of Waymo?
Waymo.
That's the autonomous taxi that I fell in love with while I was out in California. Went on vacation. You take that thing, it just drives by itself. There's no human interaction whatsoever, except for me telling it where to go. But
That's really cool.
It was really cool, I tell you. Especially in San Francisco when traffic was bad. Next, please. Bring that microphone close up to you. And the money. We're talking to the money now.
The money. I'm Brian Sheridan. I'm with M&M Industrial Services. We started working with Greg McCormick about 5 years ago or so, maybe 6. And we supply OEM equipment for gearboxes, motors, chains, bearings, just whatever you'd be needing for a factory. We started working with Pantronics last year. Greg seen a need and sent me over and seen what I could do to help out, or what we could do to help out as sponsors. And it was exciting to see how excited they were starting up the new robotics club.
That's very generous for you for both the materials and the time, and you give them a little bit of coaching from time to time as well.
Well, I wouldn't say coaching, just little hints and stuff here and there. But
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you for doing that. We'll hear more from Brian as well. And lastly, please.
My name is Isaiah Wendt, and I'm in 10th grade, and I am the captain of the Waterville High School robotics team. And some of the things that I do to help out the team is I help build, and I also drive the robot.
Ooh, you get the fun part. You good at Xbox and PlayStation and stuff like that as well?
Yeah, we have an Xbox controller that we
Okay, you're using the Xbox controller. Yeah. Very good. All right. Well, I want to hear a lot more from all of you in just a few minutes. We'll hear a little bit about their amazing story from last year. The veterans of the team want to share that. We'll hear more from our coaching as well, and some of the CAD stuff is just fascinating. I love seeing how the stuff is built virtually, and then to see it come into reality like that. That's got to be cool. And I'm sure everything happened right on the first try, right?
No.
Absolutely, absolutely not. All right, it's Robotics Roundup. It's right here on WSJM. It's made possible by Cook Nuclear, Lake Michigan College, and Berrien Springs Public Schools. We're here visiting with Pantronics, the first robotics team from Waterville High School. We thank them for coming into the studio. We're going to continue the conversation on our video live stream right now. Right now, though, also we're going to get some sports from Brett Witkowski because Dave Wolf is still out of the office. I expect he'll be back tomorrow, but Brett is here today.
With a look at sports, this is Brett Witkowski filling in for Dave Wolf. In boys district semifinal.
Okay, we're back on the video live stream. That wasn't so bad, right? We started our first radio thing. How many of you have been on the radio before? Okay, you 3 of you. Wow.
Yeah.
When tell us when.
It was when I think I did Robotics Roundup last year, and that was the time I was on the radio.
That's awesome. And you?
Yeah,
Same?
We did it last year on the video call.
You as well, Coach? Go ahead.
I was there. I didn't really say a whole lot because all the questions were aimed at the students, which was great. So I did up to Cozy a couple years ago.
With Paul Landecker.
Yeah. To help design a commercial for. I was the Wade director for a number of years at our alternative high school, and so went up there and we designed a commercial.
Very cool.
It was pretty neat to be a part of that.
Yeah, that's very good. All right, so we have a lot of veterans here in the studio, but let's talk about robotics some more. So, team captain, let's hear from you. Tell us a little bit about what you do in the role as team captain. How'd you get to be captain, by the way?
So last year at the end of the robotics season, we did a vote on who would be team captain. That's how I got elected.
Yeah.
And some of the things I do to help out is I help direct some of the newer people. Like we have, I think we have 4 or 5 new people this year, and I've been trying to help them so they like know like how all the power tools work and how to be safe.
Yeah, that's probably a big one. Do you struggle with that at all? Any injuries?
Not too much. I mean, we've had a few injuries, but
boy.
nothing more than like a cut.
Okay. All right. And robotics itself, had you done anything along those lines with technology in that way before joining the first robotics team?
I did our middle school program that we have. It's called FTC.
Okay.
And it's basically the same as this, but it's a lot scaled down.
Okay.
The robot's very small.
Okay. And so the robot, just so people have an idea, what's the size now?
So now the weight limit is 115.
115 pounds. Wow. And that's kind of big.
Yeah.
Are there dimension limits as well?
Yeah, so the dimensions are 120 inches, I believe. And I think we have ours at like 129. So
Okay.
it can't get much bigger than what we have right now. But and it's like 41 inches tall. That's how tall our robot is.
Does it have a name?
Roberta.
Roberta the
Yeah.
robot. Okay.
Our robot last year was Robart.
Very nice. I like a theme. And is it running yet?
Yes, it's kind of running.
Oh.
We're still working on some of the code issues, but we did get it to drive, and we have all of our attachments except the climb working at the moment.
Okay. Since you brought up coding, let's talk with our coder here. What's going on?
Mainly like the problems that we're facing on coding is the drivetrain at the moment. Like the drivetrain has been a major issue this entire year, which is the wheels and like how it moves around. That's what the drivetrain is.
Yeah.
And so first we were trying to use a drivetrain that we bought from another team that they used before. But then we realized that like since it's an older drivetrain, it didn't have all the parts that we needed to like adapt it to the newer technology that we use for the robot now.
Ah.
So we couldn't get that working at the moment. There was a way to get it working, but we just didn't have the time.
Yeah.
So we switched to our old drivetrain that we used from last year. So we had to take off that, add off the robot, our Robart. We had to take off that Robart.
So Robart lives on in
Yeah, he does.
Roberta.
Yeah.
Roberta.
Roberta. Okay. Hang on just 1 second. We're going to get back on the radio, and then I'll ask you to continue telling this story in just a moment, right here on WSJM. All right. It's the WSJM Morning Show. Good morning again, and welcome back. I'm Ken Lundberg. It's 7:24. In the studio with me this morning, we've got a heavy metal band. Heavy metal because you have a robot. It's like 115 pounds, right? Pantronics. It's the first robotics team from Waterville Elite High School. My dad jokes are going over very well so far. We've got Isaiah Wendt, who's the team captain, Liz Torres on the build team, Sam Millam on the coding team, Dave Kint, who is the coach, and then Berrien Sheridan is in the studio as well. He's the sponsor representative from M&M Industrial Services, and Tiffany Wendt as well. She's the handler. I call you the handler. Is that what you are? Okay, she's a mom. She's happy.
She's more than a mom. She's helped driving this whole program, so it's great.
Excellent. Well, since you bring that up, tell us a little bit about that, some of the involvement that's required to make this successful.
Yeah, so for first teams to be successful and be sustainable, it takes a village. It really does. And, I feel like this year, Tiffany had asked, and some other parents asked if they could help out, and I said absolutely, because it takes a lot of hands to help this program grow, and the amount of dedication and commitment that Tiffany and some of the other parents, our mentors, have contributed this year alone is it's unbelievable, because the robot would not be in the position it is. We wouldn't have had the success we had last year as a rookie team without the contributions of not just Brian, Greg, and our sponsors, but Tiffany and the other mentors and coaches. So
maybe just to focus on that for just a moment, on a FIRST robotics team, it's really about the students learning both those technological, the STEAM, right, science, technology, engineering, arts, mathematics, and learning the soft skills of leadership. Correct. And working as a team. But what kind of contributions do you value the most from the parents and the mentors as they come into the team?
Just their leadership and how they help promote all those soft skills, and Isaiah's dad, Mark, and another team member, Lucas, his dad, are there almost every night working with the build team, and just their expertise from the backgrounds they have that they bring forward helps these students learn how to put things together, the engineering parts of it, designing it. And then, Tiffany and Carrie, kind of do all the other, what seems like behind the scenes stuff, but it's so very important. Tiffany and Carrie are driving the marketing and what we call operations teams, and doing things like brochures and T-shirts and.
Those are cool T-shirts, by the way. Pantronics.
Just the amount of work and energy that they pour into it. One person can't do it, right? Yeah. And so it's just the students are learning from those. See the modeling that the coaches and mentors are doing. The students are learning that.
Yeah. So, just because I mentioned the T-shirt, it looks like is that a panther? Okay. Yes. So who designed the T-shirt?
Actually, Isaiah, why don't you take over for that?
So what we did is we looked on a website for royalty-free images.
Very nice.
And we
saving money there.
Yeah, and then we changed the color because it was blue.
Oh, okay.
And we changed it to white and maroon.
Okay. And so you put the what does Pantronics mean?
So our school mascot is a panther.
Yes.
And we had Waterville a long time ago had another team that they were part of, and they were Robotarians.
Okay,
and
yeah, I've heard of them.
We kind of broke off for them because we only had like 2 kids that were actually part of it, and we wanted to have our own team.
Okay.
For our own school, and we're like Pantron, and we were like it's kind of missing something, so I put the X in there.
I love it, Pantronics. Yeah, that's very good. You were telling a story a moment ago about the drivetrain. And you mentioned, Sam, that you bought an old drivetrain from another team. How do you do this? Is there is there an eBay for FIRST robotics teams that you're buying stuff from?
Oh, we actually knew the team. It was actually the Robotarians that we bought it from.
Okay. Did you ask for your money back when you found out it wasn't going to
work? No, we kept it because we figured we already spent the money for it.
Okay.
We should just figure it out at a different time. This is not really the right time to figure it out because we're kind of in crunch time.
Yeah. Is this crunch time? When's your first competition? Is it at St. Joe?
Yes. Yeah, St. Joe next week.
Okay.
Friday.
A week from Friday. You ready for it? I see head nodding.
I think we're going to be ready for it. We're not there yet. So
all right.
We will be ready for that.
We'll talk a little bit more about your preparations to get ready. But first, Isaiah, you mentioned the last year, so you and Sam are veterans of the team as well as the coach. What was the adventure you were mentioning that happened last year?
So last year we did go on an adventure. We went to a lot of places.
Okay.
We first started out at our St. Joe meet, and we started out at our Berrien Springs meet first.
Yeah.
And we didn't do the best, but we held on, and we decided we need to cut down on a lot of weight and everything.
What happened? I mean, we didn't do the best, didn't win. So what happened?
We did flip.
Oh, you flipped the
Springs.
machine?
Yeah.
That's probably not a good thing, right?
I mean, it was unharmed.
Okay.
And we still won the match.
Okay. That's
But
pretty good.
At St. Joe is where we went through a lot. So at St. Joe, we found out about, we got the Rookie Inspiration Award at Berrien Springs.
Okay.
And then we found out you can get the Rookie All-Star Award. And if you get that award, you can go to state and interview for an award there. And then if you win that award, you can go to Houston, Texas.
Wow.
And actually play at the world competition. But at St. Joe, we were chosen for a backup bot in the final rounds, and we got second place at that competition.
Okay.
And we also won the Rookie All-Star Award, so we were able to go to state. And at state, we had a week, our spring break, and we studied really hard for the interview.
Yeah.
And we were able to win it, and we got to go to Houston, Texas.
No kidding.
And compete.
So that your first year in the whole competition as a standalone team, and you went all the way to Worlds.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. Congratulations on that. How'd you do at Worlds?
I mean, we held on. We weren't in last place.
Okay. Yay, not last place. No, right. That's great. Right. Go. So I'm curious, what are the questions in the interviews? Do you recall?
So a lot of the questions were about like how you're going to sustain your team and how you're going to make your team better, get more people, and progress your team.
Okay. Liz, I want to ask you a question here. How many females are on the team?
So it is 4, I think.
Okay.
4 or 5.
Is that good?
4? Yeah.
4? Is that good participation, would you say?
I would say so. Last year, I was tempted on joining the team, but there was just a lot going on at the moment for my life.
Yeah.
So I didn't end up joining the team last year, but this year I rounded up me and a couple of friends, and we all said, oh, we're going to join robotics because it sounds fun.
Okay. All right. And is it fun so far?
Yes, it's very fun. It's nice to have like the team aspect of it and have all your friends. Like we've made friends and we had friends there already. So spending a lot of time with your friends is already fun as it is.
So now the CAD that you're working on, that is, I would assume that's mostly important during the build. What happens when that is that true?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what happens when the build is done? What does the CAD person do next?
So what I did after, like I was reaching out to Edgewater and then they had built my design. It was really exciting to see it come to life and bring it home and put it on the robot. But after that, I started, throughout the process, I was also working on like the elevator lift part of it. And I just joined the build team full on after that.
Okay.
So.
And the elevator lift, that's the part that comes in at the end of the match, right?
So actually this year, it's important throughout the whole match.
Oh, do tell.
So there's a coral piece. It's like kind of like a PVC pipe type thing.
Okay.
And you have to like go pick it up and then put it on a reef. It's called a reef.
Okay.
So that we have to like lift it up and elevate it to different levels and like that. And then we also have an algae grabber, which we have to grab this big kind of bouncy ball. And we have to take it off the reef and put it throughout the processor or the net and like that. So the whole elevator system kind of like elevates stuff and gets you to different levels and more points.
Okay. All right. And the game itself is called Reefscape this year. Do you have like a mock Reefscape that you're working through?
Yeah.
Right now? How long did that take to build and is it to scale?
We had Nick Wilder, it's Lucas's dad. He built all the props for us out of 3/4 inch plywood.
Okay.
And therefore we could like test all the things, but we don't have a full size field because we don't have a big enough space for it.
Wow.
But we have like all the little like I don't know what to call them, like little where you put your coral and your
okay. All the props that way are set up.
All props, yeah.
Okay. All right. What, they wouldn't let you set up in the gymnasium and just leave it there through the season? All right, fine. Okay, we'll come back and talk more in just a moment. We'll hear a little bit about M&M Industrial Services. So we'll talk a little bit more with Brian on that here in just a moment, right here on the WSJM Morning Show. You're listening to the first Robotics Roundup. It's brought to you by Lake Michigan College, by Cook Nuclear, and by Berrien Springs Public Schools. We'll be back with news in just a moment right here on WSJM. All right. Thank you for joining us on the video live stream today, checking our video live stream. Alex says good morning. John says good morning and hello, everyone. And Mike Weibel, my sometimes co-host on Mondays and Fridays, says morning, folks, as well. If you have any questions about robotics, FIRST Robotics, for the team or just about the competitions in general, please feel free to put them in to the comments on YouTube or on Facebook. It couldn't happen without sponsorship. So, Brian, I'm going to ask you to get up and cozy with the one of the microphones there. You choose. Tell us a little bit, again, more about M&M Industrial Services. What is it that you focus on a day-to-day basis there?
Focus on day-to-day basis, I would say just solutions, fixing problems, and just getting parts to replace.
Are you thinking like agricultural equipment, industrial equipment?
Industrial equipment, mainly. We do a lot with food service type components or lines. So
those applications.
Yeah, the applications.
Okay. And so for FIRST Robotics, how much of that, how much of Roberta was born at M&M?
I don't think a ton. I mean, we had some parts. We donated some tools and just some time. But I've had a knack or a want to do robotics even when I was a teenager, and so this is kind of takes me back, and it's fun to be able to help and watch them grow, and just see them excited to do it, and they're doing an awesome job.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, was FIRST Robotics around? Did you have any kind of thing like that when you were in school?
When I was in school, there was, I believe there was a sign up for robotics, and I signed up for it, but they dropped the class, I guess, that next year, so I didn't get a chance to. So it was always something I wanted to do. So
yeah,
I always had a knack for tech and liking to solve problems.
Are you building a side-by-side robot just in case Roberta, has issues?
Yeah.
All right. No, well, we thank you, and we thank M&M Industrial Services for your sponsorship of the Waterville Elite team. We appreciate that.
Yeah, we love to hope.
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure you mark the tools, though, so you get them back. You know about borrowing tools, right? Not a good idea. Don't loan tools. Don't borrow. No, that's what my dad used to say. No, it's it's important to have the tools and to know how to use them right. And so, I mean, is there any kind of learning curve that you had to go through this year for what you're doing? You said, Liz, you already said you learned CAD this year.
I learned CAD, and especially yesterday, I think I was actually helping with wires too. So just the little components I've learned is a lot.
Yeah. How did you get into coding?
So my brother also does coding, and I just started it probably like a couple of years ago, and it was very interesting. I had a class in it, and that really got me into it, and it's just been a passion of mine ever since. It's something I really enjoy.
Yeah, and a lot of careers in that these days.
Yeah,
as well. For those who don't know, when you say coding, I think about computer instructions, and my familiarity stops at basics. So what does it look like in yours?
So we use a programming language called Java.
Okay. And
that is the language that we use. We also have to use libraries, which is basically just expanding on the language so it can work with the robot. And we use something called WPILib, which helps us communicate with the robot, and also some other libraries there. And that is like the coding side. And then there's also other things that I have to do as being on the coding team, like I have to update the firmware on like the parts, like the Spark Maxes, which communicates from the RoboRio, which is like the brain of the robot, and the motors. I have to go in there and update them, which is a big part of what I do for coding too.
Where do the instructions sit? Do you have to flash EEPROMs and do stuff like that?
I have to, like, what can you say?
I mean, when the codes are sitting on the robot, are they in a flash chip? Are they on a drive? Where are they?
They sit in a SD card, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Like, we use an Ethernet cord to upload it, but like the storage is on an SD card inside the RoboRio. So the RoboRio can read it and send off information to the motors.
So you probably have a couple of backups ready.
Not Roborios. We only have the one.
Okay,
They're really
flashcards though.
expensive.
Okay, I bet they are. All right, we're going to come back and continue this conversation in just a couple of minutes. We're talking with Pantronics, the first robotics team from Waterville High School. We've got to get some news in. We'll be right back. Because everybody wants to know about the weather. Everybody wants to know about the weather. It's the WSJM Morning Show. Good morning. I'm Ken Lundberg. We've got 7:40 is the time. Temperature outside under cloudy skies, 35 degrees, pretty much consistently all around southwest Michigan right now. We're in for another fairly mild day for this time of year. Mostly cloudy and cooler conditions. A 30% chance of scattered rain or snow showers. High around 40 degrees today and west winds 10 to 20 miles per hour. Tonight's forecast, mostly cloudy, 27 for a low. Northwest winds 10 to 20. And then Friday's forecast, tomorrow it's going to be a wild roller coaster kind of day. Partly sunny, a 20% chance of rain late in the day. Breezy throughout the day, a high of around 53, but south winds 20 to 25 miles per hour with gusts up to 40. It's going to be kite flying weather. And then by the time we get to Saturday, we're going to have a low around 25 degrees and a high around 28. We're continuing our Robotics Roundup. We're talking with the Waterville High School team, Pantronics. They're the first robotics team, and so we've got a bunch of individuals here in the studio. We'll continue that conversation in just a couple of moments. First, though, we're going to get some news from our local newsroom, WSJM, and then also right now, ABC. It's the WSJM Morning Show. Good morning. I'm Ken Lundberg. We're continuing our conversation with the Waterville High School robotics team, and they're called Pantronics, and so we'll continue that conversation with some great notes about what it takes to build and sustain a team, not just the leadership aspect, but the finances as well. So we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. But first off, what are we looking at for news coming up at 8 o'clock? We'll talk a little bit more about Governor Gretchen Whitmer's State of the State address that she gave last night. She's making an appeal for unity as Michigan heads into a new year with a divided legislature. We'll tell you about some of the issues she talked about. Also, new bipartisan legislation has been introduced in Lansing intended to boost the nuclear energy industry in Michigan, trying to make it the nation's leader. We'll tell you a little bit more about that coming up at 8 o'clock. And then also, Lake Michigan College is going to host a roundtable discussion on women's health issues next week. We'll tell you more about that and how to sign up. It's coming up at 8 o'clock this morning during our newscast. It's 7:44. We've got more news coming up from Michigan News Network. We'll also get sports from Brett Witkowski, who's filling in for Dave Wolf this week. Okay, and good morning and welcome again to the WSJM Morning Show video live stream. We're talking with Pantronics. They're the Water Elite Robotics team, and team captain Isaiah Wendt is he's a veteran at this. You've got this handled. Your old hat. That means you've done this a lot. Tell us, Isaiah. We were talking during the news break a little bit about what it takes to build and finance a team. I said, is there anything else you guys want to talk about? The first word out of your mouth, finances. Tell us a little bit about what it takes to build and sustain a team.
So just to show up to 2 competitions, it's $6,000. And
just to show up to the competition, you haven't even bought the kit or showed up. You haven't turned a bolt yet.
Nope.
$6,000.
And the swerve is around $1,200 to $1,500.
What is the swerve?
Swerve is the drivetrain. So
oh wow,
there are wheels that can go any direction you want. So it can basically be like a hoverboard. It can go sideways, forwards. You can do donuts.
Do you do donuts? Okay. So how do you put that money together?
So some of the ways that we put that money together is we do give back nights. Like we've done give back nights at Culver's. We've done give back nights at Local 3 and Water Elite. And we've also just plain out asked for money for other companies. And
yeah.
Last year we raised $14,000 in 2 weeks so we could go to Worlds.
Wow. That's great. And you went to Worlds.
Yeah.
And that was just for Worlds?
Yeah.
$14,000. What is that money used for?
I mean, it just goes to the registration costs and building the robot.
Airline tickets?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what's your financial goal for this year?
Well, our financial goal this year is to stay out of the red.
Good. I like that. I like that a lot. I mean, do you do it competition by competition?
I mean, we try to get the money up like before then, but this year we've been just trying to get as much money as possible. We've been trying to stay out of the red.
Yeah. Liz, how do you feel about the finances?
I mean, they're finances, but like to raise money.
Have you had to ask for the money?
Yeah.
Okay.
A group of us, like 5 or 6 of us, went out a couple months ago, and we split up. We went to 2 different places, 2 different towns, and we went through almost every business in every town. We went to a lot of hotels, we went to a lot of businesses, and we were just like asking for sponsors and if they wanted to sponsor us.
How was that experience?
It was actually really fun and sometimes scary just walking up to like business owners and asking like, hey, would you like to sponsor us? I mean, it can be scary, but after a while you get used to it.
They were pretty responsive, those that donated?
Yeah, they were really nice about it, even if they didn't have the time or money to donate like anything, but they were really nice about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like an experience. Sam, finances, any thoughts there?
I'm not really much of a finance guy, so I can't really add any.
You're the coder.
Yeah.
I just make things work. Yeah, no, that's awesome. As you go through this, keeping on that theme of building and sustaining a team, so once you've got the finances in place, which I'm surprised at how much that is. That's a lot of money. Once you've got that financing in place, what else does it take to do the building of the team and then sustain?
So we start out with the drivetrain. You just use 1x2 aluminum square tubing, and that's our framing. And then we mount the swerve on the frame, and then we start working on the attachments. And we wired it last this year, and that seemed to help. You
wired it up last. So tell us what that means.
So we built all of the attachments. We built the elevator that goes up and down, and we built the coral that it's mounted on the elevator at a 55-degree angle, and that's what picks up the 4-inch PVC pipe. And then we have the algae, which turns because it's on a motor, and that's what picks up the big bouncy ball of the algae.
That's so cool. And so you decided to wire everything up after you put all those attachments. Yes. How did you come to make that decision, and why?
Because when you're attaching all the attachments, there's a lot of metal shavings that fly everywhere. And if it gets inside the Robo Rio, there can be a short. And that alone is $400.
Oh my gosh.
And the power circuit board, that's like $500. And all of that just combined, it's just a lot of money could be risked to be destroyed.
So at M&M, would they call that the harness, the wiring part? Is that the harnessing?
Yeah, that'd be the harness. with all the
Okay.
components hooked to her.
Okay. Now it makes sense. Okay, very good. We're going to come back and get ready to conclude this interview. So as there are more things that there are to talk about, we'll talk about skills, the quick skill learning that you've all engaged in and impressed your coach with. We'll talk about that in a moment right here on the WSJM Morning Show. I want to talk about those teams. No, good morning and welcome back to the WSJM Morning Show. I'm Ken Lundberg. We're here with Pantronics. They're the first robotics team from Waterville High School. This is Robotics Roundup. It's brought to you by Lake Michigan College, Cook Nuclear Power Plant, and Berrien Springs Public Schools. And with their support, we're able to bring these ongoing broadcasts to you. Every Thursday or Friday, we bring folks from the first robotics teams here into the WSJM studios to share a little bit about their experience, how they came to be, where they've been, and what they are looking forward to doing in the season. And one of the things that I've been fascinated about this morning is some of the resources that are required to bring these teams together. $6,000 to get in the door, and thankfully you have generous sponsors who have been part of that. Why don't we thank you say you have diamond level sponsors? Why don't we thank them for your for supporting your team?
So first we have M&M Industrial Services, which is where Brian's from, and then we have Schlip Transportation LLC, which is one of the team members on our team. Her name is Shelby. Her dad's business.
Very nice.
And we have Wilder's Custom Renovations, which is Lucas's dad's business.
Okay, very nice. We thank that, and you have other sponsors as well.
Yeah.
But you were mentioning that the overall budget for your team pretty slim. Start raising money as you get to the higher and higher level competitions. But there are other teams out there that are what's their annual budget? You said
there was one team last year that their budget was $100,000.
Woof! Did they have Lamborghini as a sponsor? It must have been a pretty cool
they had
robot.
One sponsor that donated $50,000, and then the other sponsor said they'd match it, so they got $100,000.
Gee whiz!
It was from two sponsors.
Is that Michigan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cass.
Where?
In Cassopolis.
Oh, over in Cass County. Okay. Very good.
Yeah, some of the teams have pretty deep pockets, and but it allows them to but it takes time.
Yeah.
Right. So these are things. These are all teams that have been around for a number of years, and so just over time you have to keep at it and keep trying to collect more and more sponsorships. So.
Yeah. Does money necessarily mean a win?
No, it doesn't necessarily mean you win, and that's a great point, because you got teams like Strike Force, which is sponsored by Stryker out of Kalamazoo, who has pockets that go to the center of the earth, and but they do well, but they don't always win.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Enough said on that one. Let's do the Moody on the Market update, and then I want to conclude this interview. Moody on the Market update is brought to you by Insurance Management Service. Call IMS today, your local auto owner's insurance agency in St. Joseph and in Niles. And Dave Kent is the coach of the Pantronics first robotics team at Waterville High School. And one of the things that you mentioned is the quick skill learning. And I feel like you're very impressed with the ways that the students on the team are able to pick up these skills. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, prime example is Liz here, who she said, "How can I help out?" And I said, "Well, if you could CAD something up." She's like, "Well, how do you do that?" So she looked up a program called SketchUp. It's online. It's for free. There's an education version, and within 2 days, she had designed our chute that's going to collect the coral piece and had sent the files to Edgewater for design completion. She self-taught herself within days. I mean, just hours, really. And, having not ever used the software before, and in 2 days had designed something. It was incredible. Sam, with watching him do coding, is just unbelievable how he's been teaching some of the kids that are new students, I should say, joining the team, and listening to how versed he is with coding. And then Isaiah, Lucas, and everybody else and Liz with her, how quickly they adapt to being able to use different types of power tools and just that know-how and ingenuity. It's just really fascinating to see how quickly these students adapt and learn.
And do you see this? I'm throwing you a softball here, Coach. Do you see these skills as transferable once they are done with education?
Absolutely. These are skills that they're going to use for the rest of their life, quite honestly. They won't be building a robot necessarily, but maybe they will. But just that how to work together as a team, how to collaborate, how to have a voice, be assertive, all of those so important soft skills that students need to know that you don't always get taught in the classroom. You learn a lot of them, but it's projects like this that can really draw them out and sharpen them, and so they can use them later.
That's great. Now, thank you for saying that. That's Coach Dave Kent. We've got Isaiah Wendt, Liz Torres, and Sam Millam. They're part of the Pentronics First Robotics team from Waterville Elite High School. We also have Berrien Sheridan, who's a sponsor representative from M&M and Industrial Services. And I'm just going to ask the team members here, what is it that you would like, Isaiah, Sam, and Liz, what is it you would like people to know who might have children thinking about being part of a First Robotics team? What do you want them to know about the experience?
That it can help change your life. Like I got to travel the country, learn all these STEM skills, and all within the span of 1 year. And I still have 2 more years after this year.
Wow. Because you're a sophomore. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. Like before, like robotics, I didn't really know how to talk to people too well. But after joining robotics, and having to do all this interview prep, I actually know how to talk to people and voice my concerns well. So I think that's a really good thing that robotics taught me.
Love that. Thank you, Sam.
I want to touch on the fact that it's not just building a robot. It's about, like he said, building new skills and like that, but also building a team aspect in it. And like you asked Mr. Kent over here, we can use these skills outside of high school. We can go on in our career and know how to work as a team, and communication is definitely a key.
Love that. All right. Well, thank you all for coming in today. Thank you for your sponsorship and your support and your help, your mentoring, your coaching, your handling, your marketing, your everything else that you're doing on this and bringing this forward today.
Thank you.
Do well.
Thank you.
All right. It's that's Pentronics, the First Robotics team from Waterville Elite High School. The whole team's here, the coaches here, the handlers here, the sponsors here. That's the Robotics Roundup for today. It's brought to you by Lake Michigan College, Cook Nuclear Power Plant, and by Berrien Springs Public Schools. It wasn't that bad, right? We did okay. The coffee? Was the coffee okay?
I'll know in a minute.
Oh, you didn't get it? I'm sorry about that. All right.
There's some things that are just more important than not many.
I might disagree. All right, it's 7:57. It's the WSJM Morning Show. Back with more in just a minute. Okay, back on the video live stream just to say goodbye to folks. How'd we do? Was this all right? Was this what you expected?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you recommend this to other First Robotics teams?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a good way to get your name out there.
Yeah, right? I mean, and thank the sponsors as well. So let me make sure that one's off. Okay. Anything else that we forgot to mention?
Some of the ways that you can reach out to us is our
Yes.
website
Okay.
on watervillepublicschools.org. ps.org.
You can come up to the microphone. Go ahead. You haven't spoke the whole time. No, go ahead.
All right. Well, a way you can reach out to our team, we now have a Facebook page, and we also have an Instagram and a website. The website is www.watervilleps.org/page/robotics. The Facebook page is Waterville High School Robotics, and the Instagram is Waterville_Pantron_X_9758.
Okay. We'll get that link from you, and we'll make sure when we post it up there. Thank you all for joining us. We appreciate it. We've got to get to ABC News. Y'all do well in the competition, all right?
Thank you.
You bet.